All right, you want a story that sounds like you're sitting across the table from me, coffee in hand, listening as I lay out the craziest, most infuriating, and ultimately most satisfying months of my life. So here goes. Buckle up. Because this one's got everything: betrayal, heartbreak, a villain in designer shoes, a hero with dirty boots, and oh yeah, a lesson about justice that might just make you question where you draw the line. Let's set the scene. 24 hours ago, I was standing right here. Same driveway, same diesel truck. Cooling off after a long drive, staring down at foreclosure papers and thinking, well, this is how it ends. I lose my house to some power-hungry HOA president and her little crew of wannabe aristocrats. Now I own the very house she used to lord over me from. There's a reason they say revenge is sweet, but let me tell you, nothing tastes better than serving it up cold on a silver platter courtesy of the law. See, these people thought they could bulldoze me, some blue-collar electrician hands, always greasy clothes, always stained, not fitting in with the white picket fence crowd. Miranda Ashworth H.O., a president, was the queen bee, and she made it her mission to remind me right from her first day that I didn't belong. She'd glide by in her white BMW, never a speck of dirt on it, nails, like she'd never opened a can by herself, smiling that cold little smile. You know, Mr. Blackwood, some neighborhoods just aren't for everyone. That's what she said, out loud, to my face, in my own driveway. Now fast forward, imagine the crunch of my boots on this same gravel, only this time I'm holding her deed and she's the one looking for a way out. That's right, I didn't just save my house. I burned down her whole rotten empire, and in the process I uncovered a $1 million fraud that sent 3 of them to federal prison. Want to know how? Sit tight. Name's Garrett Blackwood. 15 years ago, I took everything I had left. Life insurance after my wife Sarah passed, 26 years together gone in a blur of hospital bills and silent nights, and bought a half-acre on the outskirts of Tulsa. Back then, Willowbrook Estates was just dirt, a handful of houses, and a bankrupt developer desperate to offload lots to anyone with cash. I was anyone. Grief's a funny thing. Doctors tell you to rest, but I needed purpose. So I built that house from scratch. Every nail, every wire, every sheet of drywall, me. Sarah had drawn it up on a napkin before she got too sick. Big kitchen, window, workshop, out back, space for grandkids we'd never have. That house became therapy, the kind that makes your hands ache and your mind quiet, if only for a little while. Neighbors thought I'd lost it, working dawn to dusk. But honestly, it probably saved me from losing a lot more. When I moved in, no HOA, no rules, just people minding their own. My truck, a battered old Ford that looked as tired as I felt, sat in the driveway. Nobody cared. Then Miranda moved in. Within 6 months, she had the whole neighborhood eating out of her perfectly manicured hand. Suddenly, property values and standards mattered. I got my first violation letter on a Tuesday: commercial vehicles not permitted. I told her plain as day I never signed anything. Her smile just got icier. The covenants run with the land, Mr. Blackwood. Maybe you should have read them. And just like that, the game was on. The fines started stacking: $50, $100, $500 for things like a shed. I built a basketball hoop my nephew left behind, even for my truck. Each letter signed and read like blood, like it was personal. I tried reasoning with her once at the mailbox. She looked me up and down and said, "Some people just don't belong in nicer neighborhoods." That one stung. But what really set me off was the foreclosure notice: $47,000 in fees, certified mail, 30 days to pay or lose my house. That's how quick it turned. I was almost paid off, but now the paper said they could just take it all. I called Miranda. She said, "You should have read the fine print." Due diligence, Garrett. Click. So I did what any stubborn old man with nothing left to lose does. I fought. They thought they'd break me, but they underestimated the kind of stubborn you get when you've had to bury the love of your life. Miranda called an emergency meeting to speed up the process, tried to rush the timeline, which turns out is about as illegal as it gets in Oklahoma. I spent the weekend glued to my laptop digging through statutes. Monday I filed for an injunction myself. Judge took one look at the timeline, looked Miranda dead in the eye, and asked if they'd even bothered to call a lawyer. She turned so many shades of red I thought she'd pass out. Judge granted my extension, made the HOA pay my filing fees. Her heels echoed like gunshots in the courthouse as she stormed past. That was the first win. But Miranda wasn't done. 2 days later, code enforcement knocks. Anonymous tip: unpermitted electrical work. Sure enough, I'd missed a permit 8 years back. $15 mistake, 15,000 in fines. She watched from her window, arms folded, smiling like the cat who ate the canary. Then came the special assessment, $5,000 per household, urgent community improvements. The catch board members' homes owned through LLCs didn't have to pay. Thing is, electricians follow wires and paper trails are just another kind of wiring. 3 days at the recorder's office, digging through every dusty file I could find. Found it Willowbrook Estates, HOA, incorporated in 1987 with a 20-year term. Do the math, expired in 2007. No renewal. The HOA was a legal zombie, all bark, no bite. Everything Miranda did, fines, foreclosure threats, was hot air. Miranda, though, went nuclear. Brought in a big city law firm, sued me for $63,000, tried to put a lien on my house. Then the real dirty tricks started: tires slashed, mailbox vandalized, nasty flyers on doorsteps, even tried to drag up old grief, questioning if I had a right to the house after Sarah's passing. She tracked down Sarah's estranged sister. Rebecca claimed probate wasn't handled properly. Reading those words, inconvenient legal complication, I thought my heart might actually give out. But I wasn't fighting alone. Enter Jake, electrician from the next county, had seen this song and dance before. And Betty Chen, retired paralegal, mad as hell about HOA abuse. Marcus Williams, hungry young reporter, and Detective Tom Bradley from Financial Crimes. We started connecting dots. Miranda wasn't just bullying me. She was running a scam across multiple neighborhoods, fake violations, fake authority, shell companies buying up homes at auction for pennies, flipping them for hundreds of thousands. I had everything: bank records, phone logs, emails, even templates with the same typos. Her husband, a bank exec, was knee-deep, too, leaking inside info. This wasn't one bad apple, it was a racket. Then came the big twist: Miranda never passed the bar. 8 years of pretending to be a lawyer. Every action, every threat, every court filing felony, unauthorized practice, plus fraud, conspiracy, you name it. The insurance company found out and yanked coverage, demanded $800,000 back. The board collapsed, 2 members resigned, the rest begged for mercy. It all came to a head the day of the foreclosure auction. Miranda tried everything: bribery, false police reports, planting drugs, even shredding documents at her law firm. But County Clerk Janet had been recording every interaction since a previous scandal. We had her on tape, and by Friday morning, federal agents showed up with warrants. Courtroom was standing room only, news cameras, neighbors, even the commissioner. I laid it all out, binder after binder. Financial charts, victim maps, audio of Miranda herself saying it was all just business. The kicker: when she called Sarah an inconvenient legal complication on tape, you could hear the whole room freeze. When Detective Bradley cuffed her, her whole world fell apart in front of everyone. Her husband was arrested at the bank, her kids suspended after vandalizing my workshop. Her allies fled, and neighbors who once crossed the street to avoid me were suddenly waving from their windows. The very people who tried to kick me out, now they wanted me to help fix the neighborhood. 18 months later, I walk the same driveway, coffee in hand, but now it smells like home community center, built from her seized assets, playground full of laughing kids, the kind of life Sarah always wanted for us. Miranda's doing 8 years law firm, disbarred victims, compensated, new laws on the books statewide. Even met someone, a widow who'd fought her own HOA nightmare. We're building a second house out back for her son with the whole neighborhood pitching in. Funny how fighting evil can bring out the best in people. Here's what I learned for what it's worth. Justice isn't just some judge in a robe or a law written on paper. Sometimes it's a kitchen full of friends and the sound of laughter where there used to be fear. Sometimes it's a guy with nothing left to lose who just decides he's had enough. And sometimes the quiet ones, the ones everyone overlooks. We're the most dangerous when we finally get pushed too far. Now let me throw this back to you. Where do you draw the line between fighting back and becoming what you hate? When does standing up for yourself become the very thing your enemy accuses you of? Is it justice or just another version of revenge? I want to hear your stories. Drop them in the comments. Let's swap tales, vent, maybe even learn from each other. If you've ever tangled with an HOA bully or any kind of bully, hell, if you just like seeing regular people stand up and win, hit subscribe. Next week, I'll tell you about the city council member who tried to pull my business license for exposing Miranda's crimes. Spoiler, it backfired so hard, they'll be telling that story at council meetings for years. And remember, documentation beats. Intimidation, truth beats money, and the best revenge. Sometimes it's just living well, right in the house they tried to steal.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.